Billionaire left $1,000 on the table. What a poor single dad server did next shocked all. The dinner rush always came like a storm, sudden, loud, and impossible to predict. Plates clattered, glasses chimed, and the soft jazz from the ceiling speakers drowned beneath 100 conversations. For Daniel Reyes, it was just another night of balancing trays, smiling through exhaustion, and counting tips in his head before he even received them. He was a single dad to an 8-year-old daughter named Lily. Every step he took in the restaurant was measured in school lunches, rent payments, and the dream of someday not having to apologize to his child for working late again. That night, the hostess whispered, "Table 12. VIP." Daniel nodded. VIP usually meant demanding, impatient, and rarely generous. Still, he straightened his apron and walked over. A woman sat alone at the table. She wore a tailored navy suit, diamond studs in her ears, and a calm confidence that made the air around her feel expensive. Her silver hair was tied neatly behind her head. A tablet lay beside her plate, displaying stock charts. Daniel recognized her instantly. Margaret Hale, the billionaire CEO whose face had been on every business magazine cover for the last decade. His heart skipped. "Good evening, ma'am," he said politely. "Welcome to Marrow and Vine. My name is Daniel. I'll be taking care of you tonight." She looked up, studied him for a second longer than most guests did, then gave a small nod. "Thank you, Daniel. I'd like the salmon, and sparkling water." Of course. He moved quickly, efficiently, quietly. He had learned long ago that rich guests preferred servers who felt invisible. Throughout the meal, Margaret barely touched her tablet. Instead, she observed the room, how servers moved, how customers treated them, how managers hovered near wealthy-looking tables. When Daniel returned with the check, he placed it gently beside her plate. She slid her card beneath the folder, stood, and said, "Keep the change." Daniel glanced down. His breath caught. On the table, beside the receipt, lay 10 crisp $100 bills. $1,000. His hands trembled. That amount was more than his monthly rent. He looked up, expecting a smile, maybe a polite nod. But Margaret was already walking toward the exit. For a moment, Daniel just stood there, frozen. Other servers whispered, "Did you see that? Lucky guy. Man, I wish she'd sit at my table." Daniel swallowed hard. His mind raced with bills, shoes Lily needed for school, the overdue electricity notice sitting on his kitchen counter. He could take it, no one would question him. But something in his chest tightened. He remembered Lily asking him once, "Daddy, are rich people kinder than poor people?" He had told her, kindness doesn't depend on money. It depends on choices. Daniel picked up the cash. Then he walked, not to the register, not to the manager. He ran outside. Margaret was about to step into her car when Daniel called out, breathless, "Ms. Hale." She turned, surprised. "Yes, you left too much," he said, holding out the money. "This can't be right." She raised an eyebrow. "It's a tip, I know," he said gently, "but it's more than I earn in weeks. And I didn't do anything special to deserve it." Her eyes sharpened, curious. "And what would you have done if I hadn't noticed?" Daniel hesitated, then answered honestly, "I would have still come after you." For the first time, she smiled. Not a polite smile, a real one. "Why?" she asked. "Because my daughter watches everything I do," he said quietly. "And I don't want her to grow up thinking money is more important than integrity." The parking lot went silent. Margaret studied him, as if weighing his soul. Then she said, "Keep the money." Daniel shook his head. "Not like this. If you truly meant it, then, I'll accept it. But not without saying thank you properly." She laughed softly. "You just shocked me more than any business deal I've ever made." They stood there for a moment longer than either expected. "Come inside," she said suddenly. "Sit with me for 2 minutes." Daniel blinked. "I'm working. I'll speak to your manager." 2 minutes later, Daniel found himself sitting across from a billionaire at a quiet corner table, his apron still tied. Margaret leaned forward. "Tell me about your daughter." He spoke about Lily's love for drawing, her dream of becoming a teacher, her fear of thunder, and how she hugged him every night like she was afraid he might disappear. Margaret listened, truly listened. "I built my empire," she said softly, "but I lost my family along the way. My son doesn't answer my calls anymore." Daniel didn't know what to say. So he simply said, "It's never too late." She exhaled slowly. Then she slid the envelope back toward him. "This is not a tip," she said. "This is a thank you for reminding me what success actually looks like." Daniel accepted it this time, with tears in his eyes. But the story didn't end there. 3 days later, Daniel was called into the manager's office. He expected trouble. Instead, Margaret Hale was sitting there. "I own this restaurant now," she said casually. Daniel nearly dropped into the chair. "I didn't buy it because of you," she added. "I bought it because I realized I had forgotten the people who make places like this alive." She offered him a position. Not as a server, as a training coordinator for staff culture and ethics across her restaurant chain. Daniel tried to refuse. "I'm just a waiter," she smiled. "No, you're a father who chose character over comfort. That's leadership." He accepted. The first thing Daniel did with his new salary, he bought Lily a desk for her drawings. And a small notebook where he wrote on the first page, "Integrity will always feed us." Months later, Lily stood on a school stage, holding up a drawing of her dad in an apron. She told the audience, "My daddy once gave back $1,000 because he wanted me to be proud of him." The parents applauded. Daniel cried. Margaret watched from the back row. She finally understood something money had never taught her. The richest people are not the ones who leave money on tables. They are the ones who leave values in their children. And that night, a poor single dad didn't just shock a billionaire. He changed her. Forever.